Abandoned golden retriever joins wild pack, then does something incredible when poachers attack. The sun painted the clearing in hues of gold and amber as it began its descent beyond the horizon. A gentle breeze rustled through the leaves of the ancient oaks, carrying with it the scent of pine needles and damp earth. This tranquil haven, nestled deep within the heart of rural America, was home to a pack of dogs, their lives intertwined with the rhythms of the wilderness. At the helm of this pack was Rex, a German shepherd whose coat bore the marks of countless seasons. His eyes, though clouded with age, held a wisdom that commanded respect from his fellow canines. Beside him stood Luna, a lithe and agile border collie, her gaze ever watchful, her senses attuned to the subtle whispers of the forest. Completing their tight-knit circle was Rusty, a jovial Labrador retriever, his tail wagging incessantly, his spirit as boundless as the open fields. Their days unfolded in a symphony of instinct and camaraderie. Dawn would awaken them, the first rays of sunlight filtering through the dense canopy, beckoning them to explore their domain. They'd roam the woods, their paws treading familiar paths, their noses twitching, deciphering the stories etched in scent. The thrill of the hunt would surge through their veins as they chased squirrels up trees, their barks echoing through the stillness. Evenings were a time for reflection, for sharing stories etched in the language of barks and whimpers. They'd gather around the old oak tree, their sanctuary, their haven. Rex, the elder, would recount tales of past adventures, of encounters with elusive creatures, of lessons learned in the face of adversity. Luna, the ever-vigilant guardian, would scan the surroundings, ensuring the safety of her pack. And Rusty, the playful spirit, would chase fireflies, his joyous yelps filling the twilight air. Their existence was a testament to the resilience of nature, a harmonious blend of instinct and camaraderie. They were the guardians of this forgotten corner of the world, their lives interwoven with the very essence of the wilderness. But this tranquility, this delicate balance, was about to be disrupted, forever altering the course of their lives. The rumble of engines shattered the morning calm, a jarring intrusion into the symphony of birdsong. Rex, his ears pricked, rose from his slumber beneath the old oak tree, a low growl rumbling in his chest. Luna, ever alert, circled the clearing, her keen senses picking up the vibrations that pulsed through the earth. Even Rusty, the carefree spirit, sensed the shift in the atmosphere, his playful demeanor replaced by a cautious curiosity. A convoy of trucks emerged from the depths of the woods, their headlights cutting through the morning mist like intrusive beams. Men in hard hats and heavy boots poured out, their voices loud and unfamiliar, their presence a stark contrast to the quiet harmony of the forest. The dogs watched from the shadows, their instincts screaming at them to retreat, to seek refuge from this unfamiliar invasion. Days turned into weeks, the once tranquil haven now a hub of activity. Trees that had stood for centuries were felled with ruthless efficiency, their majestic forms crashing to the ground with a deafening thud. The air, once filled with the sweet scent of pine and earth, now carried the acrid smell of diesel and sawdust. The dogs, their home shrinking with every passing day, were forced to the fringes of their territory, their once boundless domain now confined to a shrinking island of wilderness. One day, a new sound pierced the air, the sound of a moving truck, its engine groaning under the weight of furniture and belongings. A family emerged, their faces a mixture of excitement and apprehension. A young boy, his eyes wide with wonder, chased a butterfly through the clearing, oblivious to the wary eyes that watched him from the shadows. A woman, her arms laden with boxes, surveyed her new surroundings with a mixture of satisfaction and unease. And then there he was, Buddy. Buddy, a golden retriever, his coat the color of honey, stepped out of the truck, his leash trailing behind him. He looked around, his eyes blinking in the unfamiliar sunlight, his tail wagging tentatively. He was a creature of comfort, accustomed to manicured lawns and cozy beds, his life a stark contrast to the wild existence of Rex and his pack. The family, eager to settle into their new home, released Buddy from his leash, expecting him to frolic and explore. But Buddy, overwhelmed by the unfamiliar sights and sounds, stood frozen, his tail tucked between his legs, his eyes wide with fear. The family, their patience wearing thin, tried to coax him, to lure him with toys and treats, but Buddy remained rooted to the spot, his whimpers echoing through the clearing. Days turned into weeks, and Buddy's fear turned into frustration. He refused to hunt, to forage, to embrace the wild instincts that were buried deep within him. He longed for the comfort of his old life, for the soft carpets and warm beds, for the familiar routine of walks and treats. The family, their initial excitement replaced by exasperation, began to see Buddy as a burden, a constant reminder of their failed attempt to embrace a rural life. And then, one fateful day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the clearing, the family made a decision that would forever alter Buddy's fate. They loaded their belongings back into the truck, their faces etched with a mixture of guilt and relief. And as the engine roared to life, Buddy, his leash left dangling, watched in disbelief as his family drove away, leaving him alone in the vast wilderness. The night fell, casting a blanket of darkness over the woods. Buddy, abandoned and alone, shivered in the cold, his whimpers swallowed by the vast expanse of the wilderness. He wandered aimlessly, his paws stumbling over fallen branches, his heart pounding with fear. The familiar sense of his old life, the comforting smell of his family, were replaced by the raw, untamed odors of the forest. He was lost, adrift in a world he didn't understand, a world that seemed to hold nothing but danger and uncertainty. As the moon climbed high in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the landscape, Buddy stumbled upon a clearing. In the center, huddled around a smoldering fire, were Rex, Luna, and Rusty, their eyes, gleaming in the firelight, fixed upon him with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Buddy, his tail tucked between his legs, approached cautiously, his body trembling with a mixture of fear and hope. Rex, the seasoned leader, studied Buddy with a discerning gaze. He saw the fear in the young dog's eyes, the desperation in his trembling form. He sensed the vulnerability beneath the polished exterior, the soft heart that had been sheltered from the harsh realities of the wild. A low growl rumbled in his chest, a warning, a test of Buddy's intentions. Luna, ever vigilant, circled Buddy, her movements fluid and silent. She sniffed him cautiously, her keen senses deciphering his scent, his history, his fear. She saw the pampered life he had led, the lack of survival instincts, the vulnerability that made him an easy target in this unforgiving world. A soft whine escaped her lips, a mixture of pity and apprehension. Rusty, the jovial spirit, approached Buddy with a wagging tail, his eyes filled with curiosity. He nudged Buddy playfully, inviting him to join their circle, to share the warmth of the fire. But Buddy, still reeling from the shock of abandonment, flinched at Rusty's touch, his fear outweighing his desire for companionship. Rex, sensing Buddy's distress, stepped forward, his growl softening into a low rumble. He nudged Buddy gently, offering him a place by the fire, a gesture of acceptance, a lifeline in the face of despair. Buddy, hesitant at first, slowly crept closer, his body still trembling, but his eyes filled with a glimmer of hope. The night wore on, the fire crackling softly, casting dancing shadows on the surrounding trees. Buddy, warmed by the flames and the unexpected kindness of these wild dogs, began to relax. He watched as Rex, Luna, and Rusty interacted, their movements synchronized, their communication a language of subtle gestures and vocalizations. He saw the bond that held them together, the loyalty that ran deeper than blood. As the first rays of dawn painted the sky, Buddy knew he had found a sanctuary, a place where he could heal, where he could learn, where he could perhaps find a new family. He was still afraid, still uncertain of his place in this wild world, but he was no longer alone. He had found a pack, a group of misfits who, despite their differences, had offered him a chance at survival, a chance at redemption. The days that followed were a whirlwind of new experiences for Buddy. The pampered life he had known, with its soft beds and regular meals, was a distant memory. Now he awoke to the chill of dawn, his stomach growling, his senses bombarded by the symphony of the forest. He watched as Rex, Luna, and Rusty moved with an innate grace through the undergrowth, their bodies attuned to the rhythm of the wild. He tried to mimic their movements. His clumsy attempts met with amused tolerance from the pack. Luna, the patient hunter, would demonstrate the art of stalking prey, her movements fluid and silent, her eyes fixed on the unsuspecting squirrel. Rusty, the playful retriever, would encourage Buddy to chase butterflies, his joyous barks echoing through the trees. And Rex, the wise leader, would observe from a distance, his gaze steady, his presence a reassuring anchor. Food was scarce, and Buddy quickly learned that survival depended on resourcefulness. He watched as the pack hunted, their teamwork seamless, their instincts honed by generations of wild living. He tried to join them, his clumsy attempts often ending in frustration. But slowly, with each passing day, he began to shed the vestiges of his pampered life, his instincts awakening, his body adapting to the demands of the wilderness. One day, while foraging for berries, Buddy stumbled upon a rabbit caught in a snare. He remembered the traps his former owners had used to catch pests in their garden, and a surge of understanding washed over him. He carefully approached the rabbit, his movements gentle, his voice soothing. He managed to release the terrified creature, his heart swelling with a sense of accomplishment. When he returned to the pack, his tail wagging with pride, he was met with surprised approval. Rex, his eyes filled with a newfound respect, nudged Buddy gently, acknowledging his resourcefulness. Luna, her initial apprehension replaced by admiration, licked Buddy's fur, welcoming him further into the fold. And Rusty, ever enthusiastic, showered Buddy with playful nips and licks, celebrating his triumph. That night, as they huddled around the campfire, Buddy felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. He was no longer just a lost and abandoned pet. He was a member of the pack, a contributor, a survivor. The wilderness, once a source of fear, was now his home, his sanctuary. He had found a family, not in the humans who had discarded him, but in the wild creatures who had embraced him, who had taught him the true meaning of resilience and loyalty. As the weeks melted into months, Buddy underwent a transformation. The once pampered house pet was now a lean, agile hunter, his senses sharpened, his instincts honed. He learned to anticipate the changing seasons, to read the subtle signs of the forest, to navigate the intricate web of life that connected every creature within its embrace. He discovered the thrill of the chase, the surge of adrenaline as he pursued a rabbit through the undergrowth, the satisfaction of a successful hunt that provided sustenance for the pack. He learned to respect the delicate balance of nature, to take only what was needed, to leave no trace of his passing. The pack, initially wary of the newcomer, had come to accept Buddy as one of their own. Luna, the once aloof hunter, now shared her kills with him, teaching him the art of survival. Rusty, the ever-playful companion, delighted in challenging Buddy to mock hunts, their playful tumbles echoing through the forest. And Rex, the wise leader, watched with a paternal pride as Buddy blossomed into a capable and loyal member of the pack. One crisp autumn evening, as the leaves blazed in a riot of color, a new threat emerged. The tranquility of the forest was shattered by the sound of gunshots, the echoes reverberating through the trees. Rex, his senses alert, led the pack to a hidden vantage point, where they watched in horror as a group of men, their faces obscured by camouflage, stalked through the undergrowth, their rifles glinting in the fading light. These were not hunters seeking sustenance. These were poachers, driven by greed, their eyes fixed on the valuable pelts of the forest's inhabitants. The pack watched as the men set traps, their cruel devices designed to inflict pain and capture their unsuspecting victims. A wave of fear washed over Buddy, memories of his own capture, of the leash that had once bound him, flooding his mind. Rex, sensing the danger, knew they had to act. But how could they, a pack of dogs, stand against the weapons of men? He looked at Buddy, the newcomer, the one who had once been a part of the human world. Perhaps, within Buddy's past, lay the key to their survival. Buddy's heart pounded in his chest, a primal fear gripping him. He remembered the cold metal of the cage, the helplessness he felt as his former family drove away. But this time, it wasn't just his own life at stake. It was the entire pack, his new family, the ones who had taken him in and shown him the true meaning of loyalty. He had to do something. He watched as the poachers moved through the woods, their laughter echoing through the trees, a chilling counterpoint to the rustling leaves and chirping crickets. He noticed their careless disregard for the environment, the way they trampled over delicate ferns and snapped branches without a second thought. A plan began to form in his mind, a risky plan, but one that might just save them all. He nudged Rex, his eyes conveying the urgency of the situation. He whined softly, pointing his nose towards the poachers, then towards the stream that flowed through the heart of their territory. Rex, his old eyes gleaming with understanding, nodded slowly. He trusted Buddy, this former house pet who had proven his worth time and again. With a silent signal, Rex dispersed the pack, each dog taking a strategic position in the undergrowth. Buddy, his heart pounding, crept closer to the poachers, his movements fluid and silent. He waited for the opportune moment, his senses alert, his mind racing. As the poachers gathered around a campfire, their voices slurred with alcohol, Buddy made his move. He darted into their camp, snatching a bag of supplies and disappearing back into the shadows before they could react. The poachers, startled and confused, stumbled around in the darkness, cursing and yelling. Buddy, with the stolen bag in his jaws, raced towards the stream. He plunged into the icy water, the current carrying him downstream, away from the poachers' camp. He emerged on the opposite bank, shaking the water from his fur, the bag still clutched tightly in his jaws. He led the poachers on a wild goose chase, his scent mingling with the water, confusing their tracking dogs. He circled back, leading them deeper into the woods, away from the traps they had set. He barked and howled, creating a cacophony of sound that disoriented the poachers, making them lose their way. By the time dawn broke, the poachers were exhausted, frustrated, and empty-handed. They stumbled out of the woods, their faces etched with defeat, their plans thwarted by a dog they had underestimated. The pack emerged from their hiding places, their tails wagging, their eyes shining with gratitude. Buddy, the hero of the hour, was showered with affection, his bravery and quick thinking saving them from a terrible fate. Rex, his old eyes filled with pride, nuzzled Buddy, acknowledging his leadership, his vital role in the pack. The triumph over the poachers brought a renewed sense of unity to the pack. They had faced danger together, overcome adversity, and emerged stronger. Buddy, once an outsider, was now an integral part of their family, his courage and intelligence earning him the respect of even the most skeptical members. But the encounter with the poachers had also stirred a deep unease within Rex. He knew that the threat to their peaceful existence was far from over. The lure of profit, the insatiable human desire for more, would always pose a danger to the delicate balance of the forest. He realized that the pack needed more than just strength and cunning to survive. They needed a leader who could anticipate the dangers, who could bridge the gap between the wild and the human world. Rex, his body weary from years of roaming the wilderness, his senses dulled by age, knew that his time as leader was drawing to a close. He looked at Buddy, the former house pet who had adapted so remarkably to the wild, who possessed a unique understanding of both the human and animal worlds. He saw in Buddy the qualities of a true leader: intelligence, compassion, and a deep respect for the delicate balance of nature. One evening, as the pack gathered around the campfire, Rex called Buddy to his side. He licked the young dog's fur, a gesture of affection and respect. He then looked into Buddy's eyes, conveying a message of trust and responsibility. With a final nudge, he relinquished his position at the head of the pack, signaling to all that Buddy was now their leader. A wave of surprise rippled through the pack. Luna, the seasoned hunter, lowered her head in deference, acknowledging Buddy's newfound authority. Rusty, ever eager to please, barked his approval, his tail wagging furiously. Buddy, humbled and honored, accepted the mantle of leadership, his heart filled with a sense of purpose and responsibility. He knew that the challenges ahead were immense. He would have to guide the pack through the ever-present dangers of the human world, protect their territory, and ensure the survival of their kind. But he was ready. He had learned from the best, from Rex, the wise leader who had shown him the true meaning of loyalty and resilience. He would honor Rex's legacy, leading the pack with wisdom, compassion, and a deep respect for the delicate balance of nature. The weight of responsibility settled upon Buddy like a winter cloak. He felt the eyes of the pack upon him, their trust a tangible force, a silent promise to follow his lead. He knew that every decision he made, every path he chose, would impact their lives, their very survival. He missed Rex fiercely, the old leader's steady presence, his wise counsel. But Buddy also knew that Rex's spirit lived on in him, in the lessons he had learned, in the values he had embraced. The first challenge came sooner than expected. A harsh winter descended upon the land, blanketing the forest in a thick layer of snow. Hunting became difficult, prey scarce. The pack grew restless, their bellies empty, their energy waning. Buddy, drawing upon his memories of human settlements, remembered the farms that bordered the woods. He knew that venturing close to human habitation was risky, but the survival of the pack depended on it. He led them on a cautious trek, skirting the edges of the fields, avoiding the watchful eyes of farmers and their dogs. He remembered the kindness of some humans, the indifference of others, and the outright cruelty of a few. He knew they had to be careful, to choose their targets wisely. One night, under the cover of darkness, they approached a barn, its doors slightly ajar. Buddy, relying on his keen sense of smell, detected the scent of grain, of hay, of animals kept warm within. He signaled to the pack to remain hidden, and he slipped through the opening, his movements silent and swift. Inside the barn, he found a treasure trove of food, sacks of grain, bales of hay, even a few forgotten apples. He carefully gathered what he could carry, mindful not to cause unnecessary damage or alarm the farm animals. He returned to the pack, his heart pounding with relief, his jaws laden with sustenance. The pack feasted, their hunger satiated, their spirits lifted. Buddy, watching them eat, felt a surge of pride. He had provided for his family, had led them through a difficult time. He had honored Rex's legacy, had proven himself worthy of the trust placed upon him. But the winter was long, and the challenges continued. One particularly frigid morning, they discovered Luna caught in a poacher's trap, her leg mangled, her cries of pain echoing through the silent woods. Buddy's heart sank. He remembered the terror he felt when he was trapped, the helplessness, the despair. He would not let Luna suffer the same fate. With the help of the pack, he carefully pried open the cruel jaws of the trap, freeing Luna's injured leg. He then carried her back to their den, his strong jaws gently supporting her weight. He knew that Luna's injury was severe, that she might not survive. But he would do everything in his power to save her, to ease her pain, to show her the same compassion that she had shown him when he first joined the pack. The pack huddled around Luna, their eyes filled with worry. Rusty whimpered softly, licking Luna's fur in a gesture of comfort. Buddy, drawing upon his memories of his former life, remembered the first aid kit his human family kept in their home. He knew that there were herbs and plants in the forest with healing properties, remedies passed down through generations of wild dogs. He ventured out into the snow, his nose leading him to patches of wintergreen and yarrow. He carefully chewed the plants, extracting their medicinal essence, then returned to Luna, applying the poultice to her injured leg. He stayed by her side, keeping her warm, licking her fur, offering silent encouragement. Days turned into weeks, and Luna slowly began to heal. The pack rallied around her, sharing their food, keeping her company, their loyalty and love a powerful balm. Buddy, exhausted but resolute, continued to care for Luna, his dedication unwavering. He knew that Luna was more than just a pack member. She was a friend, a mentor, a symbol of the resilience and strength he had come to admire. As spring emerged, casting off the shackles of winter, Luna was able to stand, to walk, to rejoin the pack on their hunts. A wave of relief and joy washed over Buddy. He had faced his first major challenge as leader and had emerged victorious. He had saved Luna's life, had proven his ability to protect and care for his family. But the challenges continued. The poachers returned, their greed undeterred, their methods more cunning. Buddy, drawing upon his knowledge of human behavior, anticipated their movements, leading the pack on evasive maneuvers, frustrating their attempts to capture them. He knew that this was a battle they could not win through force alone. He needed to find a way to deter the poachers, to protect the forest and its inhabitants. One day, as he was scouting the perimeter of their territory, he noticed a group of hikers, their faces filled with awe as they admired the beauty of the ancient trees, the cascading waterfalls, the vibrant wildflowers. An idea sparked in his mind. He approached the hikers cautiously, his tail wagging gently, his eyes conveying a message of peace. The hikers, initially startled, were soon charmed by Buddy's friendly demeanor. He led them to a hidden clearing, a sanctuary of natural beauty, a place where the spirit of the forest was palpable. The hikers were mesmerized, their hearts touched by the pristine wilderness, the harmony of nature. Buddy, sensing their appreciation, led them back to the edge of the woods, a silent plea to protect this precious haven. The hikers, their eyes open to the wonders of the wild, left with a renewed sense of responsibility, a determination to preserve this fragile ecosystem. Buddy watched them go, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. He knew that he had planted a seed that could grow into a powerful force for conservation. He had found a way to bridge the gap between the human and animal worlds, to enlist the help of those who could truly make a difference. News of the guardian dogs of the forest spread through the local community like wildfire. Hikers, once wary of venturing too deep into the woods, now sought out encounters with the pack, leaving offerings of food and water at the edge of the trees. A local newspaper even published an article about them, with a blurry photograph of Buddy leading his pack through a sun-dappled clearing. The poachers, their activities exposed and condemned, found themselves ostracized, their threats turning to whispers, their traps gathering rust. The forest, once a hunting ground for their greed, was now a sanctuary, protected by a pack of unlikely heroes. But Buddy knew that this peace was fragile. Human nature was fickle, and the lure of profit could easily reawaken the poacher's avarice. He needed a more permanent solution, a way to ensure the long-term safety of the forest and its inhabitants. One day, as he was patrolling the boundaries of their territory, he noticed a familiar scent, the scent of his former family. He followed the trail, his heart pounding with a mixture of apprehension and curiosity. He found them setting up camp in a clearing, their faces etched with a mixture of guilt and longing. He watched them from the shadows, observing their interactions, their subdued laughter, the sadness that lingered in their eyes. He saw the young boy, now a little older, searching the woods with a hopeful gaze, calling out Buddy's name. Buddy's heart ached. He remembered the warmth of their home, the comfort of their love, the bond they had once shared. He longed to rush into their arms, to forgive them for their past mistakes, to reclaim the life he had lost. But he hesitated. He was no longer the pampered house pet he once was. He was a leader, a protector, a wild creature with responsibilities that extended beyond his own desires. He had a pack to care for, a forest to protect. He watched as the family packed up their camp, their faces etched with disappointment, their hopes fading with the setting sun. He knew that he had made the right decision, however painful it was. He could not abandon his new family, the ones who had accepted him unconditionally, who had taught him the true meaning of loyalty and resilience. As the family disappeared into the distance, Buddy turned back towards the forest, his heart heavy, but his resolve strengthened. He would continue to protect this haven, this sanctuary that had become his home. He would honor the legacy of Rex, the wise leader who had shown him the way. He would lead his pack with wisdom and compassion, ensuring their survival, safeguarding the delicate balance of nature. Life in the forest found a new rhythm. Buddy, now a seasoned leader, guided the pack with a wisdom that blended Rex's traditional knowledge with his own unique understanding of the human world. He taught them to be wary, but not fearful of humans. He showed them how to utilize their strengths, their speed, their agility, their keen senses to avoid danger and protect their territory. He continued to foster the bond between the pack and the local community. He would often lead hikers to particularly scenic spots in the forest, ensuring they left with a deeper appreciation for the wilderness. He even befriended a park ranger, a kind woman named Sarah, who became a staunch advocate for the pack, educating visitors about their importance in the ecosystem. One day, Sarah approached Buddy with a proposition. She had been working with a local wildlife sanctuary, a place where injured and orphaned animals were rehabilitated and released back into the wild. She believed that Buddy and his pack could play a vital role in this process, helping to acclimate the animals to their natural environment, teaching them the skills they needed to survive. Buddy, intrigued by the idea, agreed to visit the sanctuary. He was amazed by the dedication of the staff, the compassion they showed towards the animals in their care. He saw a young fox, its leg mending from a trap, a family of orphaned raccoons learning to climb trees, a hawk with a damaged wing regaining its strength. He knew that this was a cause he could support. He led his pack to the sanctuary, introducing them to the staff and the animals. They quickly became an integral part of the rehabilitation process, their presence a calming influence, their instincts a valuable teaching tool. The pack thrived in this new role. They helped the fox regain its confidence, taught the raccoons the art of foraging, and encouraged the hawk to take flight once more. They became ambassadors for the wild, bridging the gap between humans and animals, fostering a sense of understanding and respect. Buddy, watching his pack flourish, felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had found a way to use his unique skills and experiences to make a positive impact on the world. He had honored Rex's legacy, not just by protecting the forest, but by extending his compassion to all creatures in need. One day, as he was playing with the young fox, he noticed a familiar figure approaching. It was the boy from his former family, his face beaming with joy. He had grown taller, more mature, but his eyes still held the same spark of love and admiration. He knelt down beside Buddy, his voice filled with emotion. He apologized for abandoning him, explained that his family had learned from their mistakes, that they now understood the importance of respecting all living creatures. Buddy, his heart overflowing with forgiveness, licked the boy's face, accepting his apology. He knew that the boy, like the hikers and the park ranger, had become an advocate for the wild, a protector of the very forest that had become his home. As the boy and Buddy played together, a symbol of reconciliation and hope, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the sanctuary. The forest, once a place of abandonment and fear, was now a haven of healing and compassion, a testament to the enduring bond between humans and animals, a legacy that would continue for generations to come. The years that followed were a testament to Buddy's leadership and the enduring bond he had forged between the pack and the human world. The forest thrived, a sanctuary for wildlife, a place where humans and animals coexisted in harmony. Buddy, now a grizzled veteran, his fur streaked with gray, continued to guide the pack with wisdom and compassion. He had become a legend in the local community, his story whispered around campfires, his presence a reassuring symbol of the wild spirit that resided within the heart of the forest. One day, as he was patrolling the boundaries of their territory, he noticed a new scent, a scent that carried with it a sense of urgency and distress. He followed the trail, his senses alert, his heart pounding with a familiar unease. He found Sarah, the park ranger, kneeling beside a fallen tree, her face etched with worry. A storm, the likes of which had not been seen in decades, had swept through the forest, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Trees lay uprooted, their branches snapped like twigs. The stream had overflown its banks, flooding the surrounding meadows. Sarah explained that a group of hikers had been caught in the storm. Their trail washed away, their communication cut off. She feared for their safety, the rising waters posing a serious threat. Buddy, his instincts honed by years of navigating the wilderness, knew that time was of the essence. He gathered his pack, their eyes reflecting the urgency of the situation. They followed Sarah, their paws navigating the treacherous terrain, their senses guiding them through the chaos. They found the hikers huddled on a small island, surrounded by swirling waters, their faces pale with fear. Buddy, remembering his own experience of being lost and alone, felt a surge of empathy. He knew he had to act quickly. He plunged into the raging torrent, his powerful limbs battling the current, his eyes fixed on the stranded hikers. He reached the island, his presence a beacon of hope in the midst of despair. One by one, he guided the hikers back to safety, his strong body acting as a bridge between the island and the shore. He worked tirelessly, his determination fueled by the memory of Rex, the wise leader who had taught him the true meaning of courage and selflessness. When the last hiker was safely on dry land, Buddy collapsed on the bank, his body exhausted, his spirit soaring. He had faced the storm, had defied the odds, had saved lives. He had proven once again that the bond between humans and animals could transcend even the most formidable challenges. As the storm subsided, the sun breaking through the clouds, a rainbow arced across the sky, a symbol of hope and renewal. Buddy, surrounded by his pack and the grateful hikers, looked out over the battered but resilient forest. He knew that the storm had passed, that life would continue, that the legacy of compassion and loyalty would endure. And as he closed his eyes, a sense of peace washed over him. He had lived a full life, a life of adventure, of love, of service. He had honored the memory of Rex, had protected the forest, had bridged the gap between the human and animal worlds. He had found his true calling in the wild, a calling that had led him to a place of belonging, a place where he could truly be himself, a place he could call home.